going live. And I think we're live, or at least I hope we are. I'd like to say hello, and thank you for joining us, and welcome to OreAni 2022. Whew. We've been doing this for a long time.
How many years now? 10 years? 11 years?
I think we're 11, 12, somewhere around there now.
Oh, right.
I never thought we would be doing this long, but it's been really, really fun with you guys in this journey. And we also have a new people to join us. So first, let me introduce who we have. We got Vinny as always. Hey, Vinny.
Thank you for having me once again.
Yeah. And then we got Albert, all the way from the anime homeland, Japan.
Hello, from the land of the rising sun. I am currently in Japan.
Yeah. Have you been done any like anime related things or like pilgrimage or whatever you call those?
No, I just got in, a day and a half ago, so I'll plan on going to Akihabara in later in the week.
Nice. Well, I hope you take a lot of pictures.
Drop by Maid Cafe.
Especially during the Halloween, right? Halloween, it might be interesting to see.
I think it's just more of a commercial holiday. Halloween is today, so Japan is, well, from compared to Pacific time, it's 16 hours ahead. So today is Halloween morning. I did see some people in costume last night, just walking around. They probably had like a party, but I'm a little bit further out from the city center, so the big parties in like Chibi and Shinjuku. Not planning on going there.
I see. Because I am kind of curious as to what kind of Halloween costumes that they did wear. If it was more like cosplay stuff or kind of like ours where it's, monsters, dragons, demons, whatever we can come up with in the West. Now it's coming more cosplay stuff in our trick-or-treaters, but...
Yeah. I don't know. Good question.
And then we got Dragon. Dragon now has an avatar. How you doing, Dragon?
Whoa.
We can't see his eyes. He's got that glare going on. Ching. So that's
Pushing
everyone.
up his glasses.
And I should see if we can get that. I'll get one for you too, Albert. I'll see if we can somehow get that kind of animation from our drawer. But
well, actually,
but I hope this is really fun. This is a small group today, but it's a pretty big lineup, I would say, because there's a lot of shows I'm currently watching that really excited me, and I really do have to drop some, but there's still some that I kind of want to still pick up just to check out because I know they might be good. But let's go ahead and start with our titles that we got here. Let's see here. We got first up. Ooh, Akiba Maid Senso. Are you happy to see any Akiba maids over there in Japan?
I'm sure if I walk around the area, there will be. They always are, but I try to avoid them.
Take some of tissue paper as a souvenir.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly want to see someone go Moe Moe Kyun to Albert and see how that goes.
No.
So how's this show been treating everyone? I know it's been very exciting. It's like one of our top shows for our anime night group to watch.
Is everyone watching it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what do you have to
Yeah, so I guess I could start it off. So Akiba Maid Wars. When I just read it in English, obviously, and the preview images showed maid, which I assume were maid cafe employees, right? It looked interesting, mostly because this is done by PA Works, which is a studio that I really enjoy. They have hits and misses, but I had heard that this was going to be part of like the Working Girl series, which included Sakura Quest, Shirobako, and what was the last one? Anyway, but it kind of went off the rails from the first minute of the show, right? And then I went and looked up, and in fact, the title, when you read it in Japanese, Meido is written in kanji, and it actually means land of the dead or Hades, right? That should tell you something that it's not just about cute maids, which is how it kind of starts off as, but it goes way off the rails. So it's set in 1985, I think. Yeah, 1985, and that's the kind of the opening, the cold opening, where a maid store owner is shot dead. And that's how it starts. And you're like, what is going on? And then it flashes forward to 1999, and this perky little young girl who comes to Tokyo and wants to become a maid, and she's going to be working at this animal themed, specifically a pig themed cafe, Tontokoton. And then things go sideways from there, as it turns out all these maid cafes are at war, literal war with each other, and shady businessmen hold the titles to their properties and are forcing them into all kinds of shady businesses. And the first episode culminates in a musical bloodbath, a literal bloodbath. So yeah, it is completely crazy, and I think Vinny summarized it quite well. So I'll let Vinny say what he thinks of it.
Okay. Yeah, I just saw the title. I'm thinking, Akiba Maids. It's just something that all those people who read manga or anime knows about, but it really hasn't been touched up on anime lately. So I figured, I'll just watch the first episode and how it goes. Then, as Albert says, it started off in this moody 1985. Then, right off the bat, Maid gets shot and die. Then everything just goes to hell from there on. And after watching the first episode, I quipped it somewhere. It says, "This is about the most Quentin Tarantino-looking thing I have seen in a long time." And there's just no other way to describe it. There's just so much blood, violence, and destructions in on over-the-top, cheery, happy facade that's somehow clashing, and yet it's done in such a hilarious effect that you just cannot stop watching this train wreck of series. It's not to say the series is done poorly, but just that it was constructed to be such a contrarian ways that your brain kind of freezes over trying to make sense out of it, then eventually come to terms with the fact that this is just one of those crazy series that you just gonna have to learn to accept it. And I've been enjoying it ever since.
Uh, Albert also made it interesting feedback when we were watching it that about how the opening and the ending are so different from each other in their themes or how they're played. Because we got that whole maid song at the beginning, and then we have this like yakuza type what do you call that, enka type feel at the end, right? So
I think Albert mentioned that's the ending theme when the singer sings about the Moe Moe Kyun. It has a double meaning of a typical Moe Moe does not apply, but with actually the Moe replaces the fiery word. And longer I think about it, it just fits well. That whole series has a double meaning to everything.
It certainly seems that way with different themes that they're going through. Each episode is very different, although you can say that the cafe manager is not a good person, and she has a lot of problems with her vices.
Honestly, it took me this episode to realize that there's something with that panda. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's not a real panda.
Yeah. I didn't think about it until this episode. I was like, oh, what?
If you think about it too long, it's profoundly disturbing and creepy.
But it's a wonderful, wonderful show. I would highly recommend for this season. It's on I believe High Dive, right?
I
So
believe it's high dive. Yeah.
Yeah, High Dive.
yeah, so you'll be able to get that and watch it in all its glory. Especially that first episode is just a big rush. Let's go ahead and go to the next show. If you guys give me a second, let me get the new card here. What's this show called again?
You can do it.
Go ahead.
Akyaku Reijo Nanode Last Boss wo Katte Minashita?
Yep.
Or give me a second. I'm gonna mute myself for a moment. If someone to take over, I gotta close the door or something.
Alright,
Yeah.
so looks like Tank, myself, and Dragon's watching. Albert, I believe. Did you try to watch the first episode? Or did you just drop it?
No, actually, I've read the entire manga,
Mm.
so I did not feel I needed to watch another villainous anime. It's
Yeah.
good. I did enjoy the manga. It wraps up nicely in 3 or 4 volumes, so I
Right.
think it does the entire thing. There's no, I don't think there's a lot of extraneous material like Villainous season 2 ended up
Mhm.
being. So the translation of the title is "I'm the villainous, so I'm taming the final boss," and it basically is a whole subgenre of isekai where the protagonist, usually the girl, wakes up and realizes she's in a otome game, right? And she is the bad girl in the bad girl role, which usually has a very bad ending for that character, either in death or is uh, exiled or something like that. And this is the same, but she, unlike in Villainous, the main character wakes up realizes where she is at the moment where the prince is rejecting. So it is a very bad place to be in the storyline, and she's trying to not have a bad ending. But anyway, you guys can talk about what you thought about it.
Yeah. So the thing I thought was really weird about this, even though she is the villainess, that they made that prince seem like such an a-hole. It was crazy how bad he was. I'm like, and she's supposed to be the villain. I wonder how bad she was. And that shocked me quite a bit at the beginning.
I think that kind of plays a subtype of a recent sort of isekai fantasy based on light novel stuff where supposedly the good guy is really anything but good.
Yeah, we'll get to another
Mhm.
show like that here later on too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another series where the hero is not really heroic type. It's one of those. And as Albert said, I actually did read the manga before this series came about. So when it came out, I was thinking, I'm somewhat interested that they decided to pick up the series to be to be animated since the villainous just ended, and however you slice and dice it, villainous is much superior type of series within it. But having said that, it's not a bad series to watch. It's a good time filler if you like this kind of series where you are playing the game character in the game world and you're supposed to avert the disaster one after another. This fills up the hole nicely, except that animation is so-so. It's typical Maho film quality, which is neither great nor terribly bad, but they seems to be kind of picking up on a lot of these fantasy series. If you look at their productions, it starts from the one about little demon girls that got adopted by adventurers to the land of Leadale. It kind of feels into that seems to be what they want to keep on working on. Those are sort of fantasy adventure type of series. Um, but otherwise, it's not something I would highly recommend it. But if you're a fan of those type of series, it's good enough.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad, so that's why I kind of continued on with it, even though as a group we dropped it. But it's like nothing great. I think the other villainous show was better, and at least a little more entertaining. And
Yeah,
when it,
I mean, I think it's just been like, as everyone said, it's just been like okay, but yeah, like it's not like something to be like wowed about, but it's like definitely like if you like have time and you don't have like anything like planned to watch, like it's something like, oh yeah, like why not just give it a try?
yeah, I don't think we have much else to say about this show, right?
Not really.
So unless you want to watch all the isekai type shows, then this is probably going to be on your list.
Mm.
But next up, let me see here. What title do we got next up? Ooh, this one. This one's been pretty fun. This one's been really fun. Bocchi the Rock.
Oh man. Talk about a train wreck of a character. There is one.
So since this character reminds me so much of Dragon, why don't you start us off?
Yeah.
Is it because of how like they're like they want to do something but then they're shy about everything? Is that why?
You don't have to
so
see the guiltiness.
so it's about a girl that like wants to like play the guitar and like get into music, but then like she's kind of like shy about like you know like just trying it, and then like when she's doing it she's enjoying it, and then she's just trying to muster up the courage, and then she eventually like starts finding bandmates, and then like it starts kind of like the pressure's going up because she's like, wait, it's actually going somewhere. Then it's like, but then she always thinks of all these like situations that like are like out of proportion, and it just gets into the most hilarious scenarios.
Yeah. Though there's a slight difference between why she picked up the guitar. It was because she wanted to make friends. Remember? Because Bocchi. I think it's like for Hitori Bocchi, right? For being alone.
Yeah. Lonely. Yeah.
She was always lonely, so she saw on TV a band member talking about how he was an introvert and that he didn't have many friends in school, but he picked up the guitar and everything changed. So she decided that's what she was going to do, and she learned the guitar. She got really, really good at it, but nothing in her life changed because she still didn't talk to anyone. So the rest is as Dragon says, as she opens up and makes new friends and learns more about becoming a band, because that's what was one of her goals, right? To make a band so she can get more friends and become a star. but she's just so broken. It's hilarious.
It feels like the anti-K-On or deconstructions of a musical pop band architecture. So if you see K-On as the most optimistic view of high school life and friendship, this basically shoved that under the trash can and basically put it into the point of view from the most people. What happens when same thing happens to the very shy people, and this is the outcome that you should be expected to see, not this happy-go-lucky cheery time where everybody's like, happy to see you and cheer you and you somehow make it happen, glide through the first 3 years of high school. This is anything but that, given how painfully introvert and how she's prone to self-sabotage every step of the way. So it's kind of series that if you can see yourself in it, then it also opens up a lot of bad memories of all those mistakes that you made in the youth, and you kind of have to laugh with it, because what else are you gonna do? You can just exactly dig a hole and bury yourself after all this time. But all those hijinks and all the mistakes that she makes, it's so relatable in some way. I mean, not the facial expression, that's somewhat extreme, but every episode I'm watching is, I think I've done something like that. I think I've done that too. So you kind of laugh along with it, but it's great.
Oh, he's on a different conversation. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's a hilarious show. The animation studio is Cloverworks. You know, I mean, they've been doing great stuff. They're in fact doing, they're doing Spy Family this season, the second quarter with Studio Wit, and they've done other things like Shadow's House and My Dress Up Darling. We won't mention a couple other shows, but yeah, it's really well adapted. It is based on a 4-panel manga, so to get that material into fully animated form, you have to have good writers to really make the adaptation work, and it's firing on all cylinders as far as I'm concerned. I'm laughing every time, every episode. It's sometimes very painful because a lot of it, I think, people with these kinds of uh, I don't know, social anxiety, you can relate to it, right? And Bochi-chan, Hitori Goto, she has it in spades. So you kind of are on her side, that you want to cheer her on and to break uh, out of that painful shell that she's constructed around herself. And yeah, you're with the band that she's trying to trying to fit in, trying to make something of it besides being a solo YouTube uploader. Actually, it's not YouTube. I forget what it was called in the show, but so highly recommend it. It's hilarious. It's well animated. They've got great characters, great interaction. So yeah, I highly recommend it.
Yep. Sorry about that, guys. I recommend it too. This one is streaming on Crunchyroll, so it's very easy to get your hands on. Next up, we have. Man, this Japanese name's gonna be really hard to pronounce. How do you say this? Chainsaw Man.
You got it.
Chainsaw Man, yeah.
I think the delivery is a little flat, but okay.
I'm sorry. This is like one thing that everyone was talking about before it was even released and stuff. A lot of people were excited about it. Oh, Chainsaw Man, Chainsaw Man.
This had a lot of hype behind it.
Kind of reminded me of back
Do
in
you
the
think
day.
it was? Yeah. Do you think it's overhyped, or what's your opinion? I never read the manga, so I did not follow the hype. I just knew that it was really, really hyped up, especially with the studio, Mappa working on it. So I'm curious to see if you've read the manga and if you think it was overhyped or not.
Well, I haven't read the manga as well, so I was just kind of gauging off of like people that have read the manga. And so for me, I heard there was like, everyone was super excited about it. They're like, oh my goodness, like to actually see like Mappa animating Chainsaw Man. And I think it's because of every time they kept coming with news about it, like people just became more hyped, like being like, oh, like they weren't gonna like hold back, like they're gonna like let all the blood and gore that the manga has like be shown throughout the anime. So like people were like they're not going to be holding back. So people made it like very exciting. And then I feel like when I came to watch it, I was just kind of like, oh, it's okay. I mean, I'm not sure how different it would be if I had read the manga and if it would have lived up to like my imaginations, or if I had read the manga. But like when I watched it, I was like yeah, it's it's okay. It's not like I didn't see like too many things about it. I was like, oh my god, this is like amazing, amazing. I was just like, yeah, it's good. But yeah, that's my opinion on it.
So after watching the first episode, I read the manga, and I read probably like the whole first story. I guess you could probably say the whole first storyline, which I think is
Like the
all
first
up
arc.
to. I wouldn't say arc because there's multiple arcs within this whole
Mm,
first story. Because like you get to a point where then it changes into a whole new thing.
okay.
I feel, and I stopped there because I didn't think the anime would probably go further than that. But watching the anime first, I was like, God, this is actually pretty interesting. It struck me as totally different from what I was imagining it to be, especially with all everyone was talking how it's going to be just a lot of blood, gore, and action, which it does have. But that first story kind of caught me surprised with his partner. I can't even remember what was the dog's name, Pochita, something like that.
Yeah.
And so that was that whole thing was actually really nice to me, and it got me kind of interested in it. So then I started reading the manga, and because I was like, how far is this really gonna go? And as I read, I was like, wow, this is pretty graphic and surprising, and I see why people would be excited, especially if they were said they weren't going to be censoring anything. But as the second episode rolled along, I noticed that they have done some changes. They cut some content, and I think just so that the story can progress faster, because what happens probably wasn't like too informative and was needed for the story to go on, but they did cut like some, at least like one demon fight that he had. But as the story's continuing on, it's doing really well as far as I know, as following along with the manga. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I don't see why everyone was so excited, but I could see why it would hit with a lot of people who just probably are into anime just for the action and the bloodlust, or however you want to say that.
It has definitely has the shock value. Um, instead of just fight and die, this thing tends to dismember a lot of body parts. So there's that. I read the manga a little bit before this was announced. I thought it was okay series, but it doesn't really stand out too much. It follows the typical routines of what shonen action series is about. There's the down in the luck protagonist, uh, and there's a demons or task to complete, and there's a friendship to build, love interest to try to make it happen, and so on and so forth. So it has the typical archetypes of a shonen action series. I think this probably will be hit at the cosplay venue. I expect to see a lot of people dressed up like our titular main character and a couple others. And I'm expecting to see a lot of a doggy with a chainsaw nose dangling around somewhere too. It's gotta be plenty popular. And if I was like 20 years younger, I might be more into it. But nowadays, it's one of those, I've saw one and I've seen it all kind of thing to me. It doesn't excite me as much as I thought it would.
So we're finally too old for this action pack stuff.
Well, too old for me. I'm too old for that, actually.
I forget Dragon's still young, huh? This is Dragon's Alley, right up Dragon's Alley.
I don't know about that, but
So what do you think, Vinny?
What?
Huh?
Did you watch? Or sorry, Albert.
Yeah, I watched it. There was a lot of hype, obviously, and I think it, at least the first episode lived up to it. I'm enjoying it, and the animation style is pretty unique. It's obviously got a lot of 3D elements, but they're blending it with the 2D really well. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting show. Definitely going to keep watching it, and you can. There's a lot of hidden meaning in many of the scenes from the OP and ED. The OP has been analyzed to death, but I think most of it is spot on. So people are talking about it, digging into multiple levels of the meaning, and this is some Evangelion level dissection. And it would have been funny if it was all just made up, like Anno did with Evangelion and all the mysticism. But I think they constructed it. Mappa constructed the OP to actually foreshadow everything that's been happening. So I'm definitely gonna keep watching it.
So I don't know. I heard this last week on Twitter, and I don't know if anyone else has heard it, but there was like supposedly Twitter rumors going around that it got canceled, and everyone was like freaking out that Chainsaw Man got canceled.
Really?
I didn't hear about that. And Twitter's kind of a mess right now with the takeover, so who knows?
I just wonder if anyone else saw any of that. I was like, what? Come on.
No, I
I
didn't see
didn't
it.
hear any of that. Like the only time I heard it was because you brought it up during one of the VC sessions we were in.
Yeah, quit spreading rumors, Tank.
I was just wondering if anyone else saw it, so that's why I was like curious, because I knew it was BS. I'm like, oh come on, there's no way they're gonna do that. It's probably like one of their money horses right now for Crunchyroll. But let's go ahead and go on to the next show. Let me see here. So after Chainsaw Man, we got another show which has actually grown on Vinny, right?
Yeah.
Do it yourself.
Yeah, I had such a high expectations or before watching the first episode, given that they just did wonderfully done series about Japanese styled musical troupe school. Then I watched this and I was completely shell shocked by how awful it looked. Not only it looked terrible, animation itself was very sketchy at places. It's almost like somebody forgot to clean up the rough draft and they just ran out of time and decided, screw it, we're just gonna pierce and put them together and release it kind of feel to it. And then I watched the second episode with retuned expectation of a setting bar much lower on animation. Then I eventually come to accept that okay, this is one of those series that you just watch for the story and the happy-go-lucky uh, characters. You don't watch it for the animation. Then it got better. Do I still think that it could have been better? I think so. If the animation was done the way how the opening sequence looked, then it would have been much better off. And I just don't understand why it looks so crude in many spots early in the series. I just don't have an answer for it. And given that this is their original story, they have a complete creative control over everything. They didn't have to borrow from manga or light novels, anything. So I don't know what happened, but once you just just forget about the animation quality, story follows the typical friendships and slice of life where cute girls doing cutesy stuff, but except now they decide to pick up the hammers and nails and build stuff on their own, which is nice things to do. And I think I got over the hump, and I think I will be able to watch it throughout the series at this point.
Yeah, the show's been really nice. I like it. Vinny said, the animation's nothing to write home to, but the story is very fun, and just seeing how they learn and go about these home projects is really fun. As someone who does a lot of my own fix-its around my house, um, it's nice to see what. Maybe I can learn something. Maybe I won't, but we'll see how things go along as I continue to watch this. I do love how the main character, Yoru Selfu, whatever, it's got the perfect attendance to the medical room. So it's always been a fun thing that I've been looking forward to. But yeah, it's just I don't know why, but a lot of the stuff in there kind of made me think of the animation, or at least some of it how it moved kind of reminded me of like another show, which I know has no relation, but other than that, it's just been really fun, and I hope maybe we can get more people to do their own things, do more of your own do-it-your things, self things, or DIY, right? So,
Do you
Yeah,
think it's
pretty much.
sponsored by some of those home center companies to make this animation?
I don't know. 'Cause I don't recognize any of the. Did it show any brand names or anything? Because like, I don't even know what brands would be in Japan. Because like over here, what is it? DeWalt, Makita, and
Oh, there's a couple others. There's a Craftsman. There's Cobalt. There's a Hitachi. Uh, no, I don't think any of the brands put their logos in it per se. But I wonder if in Japanese broadcasting, either at the end of the show they have a list of sponsorship that shows up. Obviously, it's not gonna show up since we're watching it streaming. But I have a nagging feeling that some of the sponsors are embedded in there, just a way to promote their stuff. or just generally encourage people to fix stuff and not be just completely helpless.
Yeah. But I'm actually, Albert, did you drop this, or is you going to drop it or something? Or you never started it?
Yeah, I dropped it. It should be my jam. I mean, it's cute girl doing cute things, do-it-yourself projects. It's all things I should be interested in, but I just it didn't connect for some reason with me. And the setting is slightly near future-ish because they have some weird things like, self-propelled roller skates and the buses look semi-futuristic. So, and 3D printing and high school, all of this, it's a little bit off, right? And I don't know, I just didn't really connect with the show. So I did end up dropping it because this is a very, very heavy season for me.
I see. Well, if you drop anything else or more things, and you realize you have nothing left, maybe go back to this. It's not that bad. It's been pretty fun with all the new characters they've been adding to try to get the DIY club to its full member capacity.
Did the blonde little girl show up too already?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Juliet.
Jabko.
Yeah, Jabko.
Huh. Okay. Is she a foreign transfer student who
Yep.
speaks perfect Japanese?
No perfect Japanese, but she's a transfer student.
Okay.
Transfer
Got
to
it.
wrong school.
But yeah, I actually kind of want to do some art stuff for this show because it's pretty simplistic and it should be easy for me to do, which I think is going to be fun. Let's go ahead and go on to the next title we got.
How about if we move to the ones that Albert watched? Looks like he got a few minutes left.
Sure, let's go to the ones that he actually has full colored then. Let's go to Mobile Suit Gundam. This one actually we all watched last night, which...
Are you guys caught up?
Yeah, we watched
Yeah.
it all last night. We got all of it done. All of what, 5 episodes?
I put the bug on them.
Yeah, we weren't
Nice.
even watching this, and then Vinny's like, "You guys got to check this show out." And from the prelude, we were
Right.
hooked. We were just hooked. We're like, "Oh my god, this looks so good." Oh.
All right,
I
go
mean,
ahead.
it's Bandai and Sunrise, right? So yeah, there's definitely money behind it. There are many Gunpla that's already out, toys, character goods. It's a huge moneymaker. So this is another Gundam series, but it is not part of Universal Century timeline. It's a alternate timeline. This one is called Ad Astra, I believe, is the timeline. So it's kind of like Gundam 00 or Iron Blooded Orphans or Gundam Wing. It's a different universe, and yeah, it's definitely interesting. From the prologue that dropped on the, I watched it on YouTube, but it is on Crunchyroll, and from the prologue, it's just a very interesting world setting where different corporations seem to be vying for supremacy in whatever they're doing, in this case, mobile suit development. And one company technology is deemed bad by all the others, and so they are eliminated in the most brutal fashion. And that's the prologue. And so when episode 1 dropped, I watched it, and I was really wondering how they're going to transfer that corporate warfare into a school setting. So this is a school for kids that are either in like pilot or mechanics or management. And it seems that they have some bizarre rules where you settle disputes by dueling. Now, if you're not a pilot, how do you settle that? I guess you get someone else to be, uh, your stand-in. Um, but and I'm not really sure how they are doing the negotiations for what they're going to risk, because it doesn't seem, uh, some of it doesn't seem, I don't know what the rules are, right? But main character Soleta arrives at the school and she finds someone floating outside. So this is set in space. She finds someone floating outside and rescues her, even though she did not want to be rescued, it turns out. She was trying to escape. And she is the daughter of the chairman of this industrial organization that oversees all kinds of technological development and the heavy industries and research and everything. And he was one of the main villains in the prologue. So he has acquired even more power and has essentially ruling this conglomerate by an iron fist, and has offered as prize his daughter, who was trying to escape. And the rules that he set up in the school is that you settle disputes by dueling, and whoever is the holder of the, I guess, the champion of duel will marry his daughter and thereby inherit a lot of this power, which is very archaic, very weird, but within the story, it kind of works, except for a few things I still don't understand. So, the characters are very distinct and interesting. The animation is superb. Obviously, lots of toys from the mobile suit angle. And there's this entire, from the first episode, people have been comparing this to uh, Revolutionary Girl Utena. And also, there seems to be a Shakespearean angle with this. And if you know the story of The Tempest, it might help you to understand what's going on too. So, all of that combined, it's a must watch for me, and I have been enjoying it on each and every episode, trying to figure out what the hell is actually going on and where the story is supposed to go. And I believe this is going to be a split core, so there is at least 24, 25 episodes. I don't know if it's going to run longer or not, but it's definitely set for at least 2 cores.
Yeah, I believe the second core is going to be resuming on spring 2023.
Yes.
So I had one question. So it seems as you've watched a few Gundams. At least the Gundams I've seen, not many take place in a school setting, do they? Or it's usually, I think, older people.
Yeah. No. Well, a lot. The Universal Century timeline is often just a war setting, so schools don't really play into it. And then any of the other shows, I think Gundam Wing took place at the very beginning. Relena was in school when Hero infiltrated. Um, so, but it's not really a school setting. This is completely, every episode has been at the school, except for the prologue. And school shenanigans are happening, and they're taking classes and mobile suit training and mobile suit maintenance, and it's just a little weird. Still don't quite fully get it, but major things seem to be happening, and I think, yeah, it's hard to predict where this is going, but at some point I think they will have to leave the school, and maybe that will be, kind of the second core. There'll be a time jump, that kind of thing, but I don't know.
definitely much watch. It's funny because our friend that was watching it with us was like, "So those are where all those Twitter characters are coming from." Because I guess he's been liking a lot of the art of the main characters of the show that have been circulating on Twitter. So he was happy to finally figure out who these characters were. But yeah, very very fun show so far, and I'm excited to see how far it goes. At least we haven't seen any really strange names like I've seen before. Like there's a characters named Biscuit and Cookie and stuff like that. One of the Gundam shows I saw.
That was Iron Blooded Orphans, and that was written by Marie Okada.
Ah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot. There's also a kind of a novel, well, not a novel, a short story that is set between the prologue and the episode 1 that gives a little bit more background about what was happening on Mercury, where it's pretty obvious that the mother and daughter who fled from the prologue ended up, and it's their story. So you probably can find fan translations of it. I haven't actually read it yet. I haven't had time, but I do plan to read it at some point. So that's another thing to check out.
All right.
It would be nice if that comes part of the box set later on.
Yeah.
So next up, we have Mob Psycho. Ooh, this title card's big.
Wait, am I the only one that? Oh, I'm the only one that's watching it. That's weird. So yeah, Mob Psycho season 3, right? Definitely. If you're a fan of season 1 and season 2, you should definitely watch this because it's just continuing the story of Mob and all the wacky characters you've come to know. And I believe this is the last season as it wraps up the story, but I was a fan of season 1, and I know some people had issues with season 2, it seems, but I was a fan of season 2 also. And so far, season 3 is just fine. It's a lot of fun to get back with these characters and see where the entirety of the story is going. And I watched episode 3, and you're kind of getting an idea of who the antagonist is going to be. So yeah, I would highly recommend that you check it out if you're a fan of season 1 and season 2.
So I am definitely a fan, but for some reason I just feel like I'm going to probably wait until closer to the end and then marathon it, have fun with that instead of watching it week by week and being in angst, going, "What's the next episode?" Ah.
Right.
Next, we got. I didn't even know about this. It wasn't even in my anime list of things called Romantic Killers. What's.
Yeah, it's not. It's in the. You had to scroll down like on my anime list. So this just dropped on Netflix. Okay, so it is a Netflix show. All 12 episodes have dropped. It is based on a manga, which I didn't know about. And I just happened to see it in my feed. I'm like, oh, what's this? I totally did not know it was coming out. So I checked it out, and it's hilarious. From the get-go, it's just bonkers. So the show is about main girl Anzu, who loves 3 things, which is chocolate, her cat, and games. Like video games, just playing games of all kinds, including, otome games, right? And one day, all of a sudden, this thing that claims is a magician, magic user, whatever you want to call it, wizard, right, pops out of the screen and says, "Hey, I'm going to make it so that your real life is going to be like an otome game." You're gonna have all these guys falling for you and fawning over you, and all these romantic situations developing. Oh, and by the way, I want you to focus on that. So I'm gonna take away your chocolate and your cat. And she's like, "What?" And that's exactly what happens. So I I read somewhere the synopsis. It seems like you make it seem like she's been isekai, but no, her real life has been changed by this Riri wizard thing that looks like an egg with a wizard hat and a magical girl wand. It's really weird, but most of it is just her uh, trying to navigate this new situation and trying to outwit Riri, which creates all these bizarre situations that you get in the Otome game. So um, it, it's it's like meeting your the uh, cool student that she suddenly has some sort of interaction with, and then they eventually get closer, or having the childhood friend that suddenly shows up that she has no recollection of ever having a childhood friend. And it is hilariously funny and wacky, and all the character deformations that happens, the looseness of the animation. She gets these super serious faces, like in a shonen manga protagonist or seinen manga protagonist look. Remember, do you guys remember Barakamon, the one about uh, the calligraphy guy that ends up on the little island?
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So remember the little kid? She will get like this super serious face, right? That's totally out of character for a little kid. It's like that. She gets the super serious, manly looking faces, or she'll have these loose, completely goofy looking faces. There's the chibi forms. All of this, it's superbly animated. The voice acting is great. Uh, Anzu is voiced by Ria Takahashi, who you know as the voice of Emilia and ReZero, Megumin, and Konosuba, among other things. And she's also MASH and Fate series. So she is obviously having a lot of fun voicing this character, and it really shows. You can really hear it. So I highly recommend this if you haven't checked it out. And since it's on Netflix, you have your choice of language also. Sometimes it's fun to just listen to a different language. And this show I also saw that was instead of the usual, Spanish and German and French. Besides that, they had like Latin Spanish and Indonesian and Portuguese. So very interesting that they've expanded their language selection. But yeah, definitely check it out.
So did they drop the whole series?
I'm not sure. Let's see. The manga, I think it only had. Let me look it up real quick. Manga is four. Yeah. Okay. So it's 4 volumes, and yeah, the anime is 12 episodes. I'm guessing that they did the whole thing.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely check it out on Netflix. But that means I will have to go now. So good hanging out with you guys.
Bye bye, Albert.
Bye bye,
Take
Albert.
care
Enjoy
and
the
enjoy.
rest. Bye.
So let's go ahead and we'll go back up to the top of the list. Vinny saw my favorite title coming, so he's like, "We gotta skip it." Go to Albert's stuff.
That's right.
We got our great anime Futoku no Guild, which is gonna be your true blue ecchi anime of the season.
It's the edge fix for tank.
Yeah, so you got to have one every season, and this season we got two, but this one's the one we're focusing on.
I mean, I'll give it that this is just edgy, not straight up hardcore like the one from last season.
Yeah, the other one, whew, that one was special in its own way. This one is at least has really good comedy along with its etchiness. So it brings it back to its like good wholesome etchy roots, where it's like Lucky Skebe, right? A lot of
I
these.
don't know if you can put good and wholesome with edgy stuff, but okay.
Well, I mean, everything just happens by chance. It's not like he's trying to force it or trying to make it into this sexual thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not like building your own harem or doing stuff to people for revenge.
Oh yeah.
So this one's more or less he's trying to train these members to become his replacement for him to leave the workforce, because he has had no romantic happenings in his life, and now he's been getting all these cards about his friends marrying and having all these things going on. So now he's like, I want to go out there and get myself some happiness, but unfortunately the group doesn't want to let him go. So he feels that in order to be get that feeling to be let go and to have his freedom, he is going to have to train these new group of members, and they all just so happen to keep on falling into risque situations as they go out to fight the beast. So, and he's even dumbfounded by it. He's like, this has never happened. I can't believe what's going on, and even tells the main member that this is just totally insane. And as you go through, etchy moments ensue, and it's not like it happens to him most of the time. It's just he happens to see these events happen that he makes him go, oh my gosh. Now I gotta help her or save her.
Same by solving them.
Yeah. So you can kind of see why I say this is a little more wholesome than the others we've had, right?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, man. I mean, there's such a low bars on the last couple seasons of all this, etchiness just gone turbocharged. So yeah.
And it's not an isekai. It's a nice fantasy setting.
Yeah. Adventure Guild.
It's been one of the biggest pushes of the season for Dragon. He's always telling me we should watch this. So it's our favorite show. So if you like etchiness and stuff, this is it. Unfortunately, I think the only place you can watch it is a Bilibili, right? Or whatever you call that. I haven't been able to find any streaming services over here like Crunchyroll or HiDive or anything like that. So it is a hard title to find. In that sense. So So the only other like really etchy anime you can watch besides this is I think Peter Grill, which is on HiDive for season 2, but we're not going to go into that one because that one's not as cool. Did Dragon disappear on us?
Oh, I'm still here. Sorry.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Next up, we got The Eminence in Shadow. I always want to say In the Shadow, but it's In Shadow. Or Kage no Jitsuryokusha no Naritatte. Oh, it's
Sounds
going to
about
be
right.
20 episodes. Wow. I didn't know that. So the source is from a light novel. I've read the light novel. I have the first 4 light novels purchased. And I've read also the web series, which changes directions from the light novels until the third book, I would say. So after the third book, the web novel goes in a completely different way than the light novel. And then I've also read the manga, which is following the light novel. And this has been one of my favorite mangas to read, which got me into the light novel. And the light novel has been really, really fun. And this is just one of my favorite shows. Even though it's not like the greatest thing, it's another isekai that everyone's always complaining about. Oh, isekai, come on. But to me, it's a great story and how everything falls into place. And but I was shocked with how it started with episode 1, because episode 1 is actually a story that we don't read in the light novels until the 4th book. And it was more of like an insert story rather than like it being told in the linear fashion, like in how it's normally told. It was like, we finished the first arc, now here's this thing, which reaches episode 1, and then now here's the rest of the continuation of the book. And it gave us a little insight as to what was going on for the second half, but I was surprised to see this as the first thing to be shown in the anime. But overall, the anime's been doing okay job of recreating everything from the manga. I mean, there's some slight deviations from how the manga drew characters and such, but it's, to me, it's been still great. It's been fun. The animation is kind of weird in how they're doing stuff, but I mean, it's just too good to me. I just have to keep on watching it. It's one of these shows that you can't find fault in it for me now. I'm sorry. What did you guys think of it?
I just thought it was like pretty I don't know. For me, it just seems like a similar plotline with like a lot of other isekai. So it's just kind of like, oh, it's just seems like another isekai. I mean, maybe it'd be different if I was like you and I had like was reading it beforehand. But like, oh, for me, it's just kind of like, it's okay.
What about you, Albert? Or I keep on. Why
Vinny.
do I get you guys mixed up? I swear, Vinny.
Which series is this now?
The Eminence in Shadow.
Yeah, well, after first episode, I kind of stopped paying attention once the tone shifted 180.
I think they did that on purpose. I don't know why they did that. Because like, it obviously started as an isekai in the manga and everything. And maybe they're like, people are sick and tired of isekai. Maybe we can hook them by tricking them.
Wow, that trick worked. I'm kind of fell out of the favor, so.
Aw, poor Vinny. But yeah. To me, the thing I love about it the most is just how clueless Sid is about everything that's going on around, and how things always kind of work in his favor. Like, he thinks everything around him is happening by like everything that his friends are doing. I'm going to call them friends right now. Are doing. He believes they're doing as a act, as a play, that they're acting these things out to amuse him, to have fun and play around. But little does he know that everything that they're doing and everything that he's spouted as nonsense is the truth of what's happening. So he tells a make-believe story, kind of flowing with the story he heard as a child about how there's this Diablos cult that's trying to revive the Demon King, or whatever you call it. And he's there to stop it by becoming a power in the shadow. And he just makes up this BS story to tell this girl that he saved, and she wholeheartedly believes it and starts devoting herself to him to learn and to practice and to defeat this evil clan or evil entity that's trying to harm them and kill them. But little does he know, everything he said is actually what's happening. And as the group and people uh, learn more about the truth and uh, share this information with Sid, I believe his name, he believes they're just expanding on the story that he made and that they're still acting out this thing, and he just like, oh, these guys are so good at their storytelling, their acting is getting better every year, I'm so proud of them. And he just goes along thinking it's all a play. And it's one thing I just really loved about the book and everything that I read, and as it plays out in the anime, it's been pretty fun to me. And I can't wait to see all the other members of Shadow, because I've seen some characters in the episode that aren't really remarked or shown in the manga. So I'm kind of excited to see if they will show them in the anime, and we can learn more about them. But other than that, I just because I love it so much, I would say I want to recommend this for everyone. But I know it's not for everyone. Anyone else want to add anything to this great show? This great show?
I don't really have anything else to really add. I mean, I thought it was like okay, but I didn't think, it was like too spectacular because it just seems like another isekai. So like, if you like isekai, then you might like it. Give it a try. But
How dare you? I'm just kidding. One fun thing is that every ending has had a different animation type of thing as they show different characters. So I don't know if anyone noticed that, but yeah. So the next title is one that was another Vinny recommendation for us, which was Kokyu no Karasu. And I'm not going to attempt any of these characters' names because I'll butcher them. Because they're nothing like how they're spelled, I swear.
Right, because setting is some medieval China, and the characters names are translated in Chinese style, while the pronunciation is obviously Japanese. So there's a distinct difference between two, and this series reminds me very much of another series called Apothecary Diary, which is set in a very similar setting, and also it involves a mystery. So this one is about Raven Consort, who has a title of a consort, and yet her job does not pertains to entertaining or keeping company of the emperor at night time for the purpose of procurement of the offspring. Her sole role is to basically give a guidance whenever somebody's seeking that relates to supernatural phenomenon that's been going on around the palace. And it features the opening song that Tank loves so dearly that he just cannot wait to ask and sing along every time it happens, which I find a little jarring sound music, but whatever.
It's so mysterious, man.
Yeah, I I'm more of in favor of a series that's drama related, and this is a basically smack dab of a drama through and through. I don't know who mentioned that this plays a lot like a Chinese dramas, that it follows similar settings, characters, and even their uh, mannerism and whatnot. So to me, that's a compliment more so than anything, given that this setting is supposed to be China somewhere. Um, so it starts it off giving a little bit of our main character, the Raven consorts, and her little bit of backdrops. Then it quickly moves on to the sort of mystery solving of the day. That every episode has a sort of self-contained mini mysteries that has to be solved by Raven Consort using her that supernatural power that she have. As far as why she has that, it's not fully explained. We're not sure at this point whether this is something that she was born innate or if this is something that she learned from the previous consort. And there is a grander plot that just revealed just a little bit, ever so much, in the last episode that involves with a very strange looking map. And so it's starting to be a little bit more interesting. I think Albert dropped that because after he watched the first like, 1 or 2 episodes, he felt that it's not really much of a mystery when it's so easy to solve, which has been true so far. But I think they're trying to slowly build up the momentum towards the other mysteries that's not explained yet. So I'm looking forward to see more of it. If there's something to me pick about this series is that they recycle some of the scenes a lot, especially when our Raven Consort plucks the flower off from her head as a decoration. That scene is recycled every time, and I am not, I'm not a big fan of that. It's almost like a taking kind of a where's the skip button on that part.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. It's a nice little drama detective thing. Kind of almost made me think of a little bit of another show like Inspector type of thing. Just not in modern day time. You know what I mean? Dealing with the supernatural, but also being more of like uh, kind of detective around it versus just going around and just fighting and trying to defeat a big monster. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's more like an old style.
But that was Kyoku no Karasu, right?
Mm.
Next up we got. Oh, we're gonna have to move down. Do you guys want to talk about the farmer one?
Um, I'm okay with passing on it unless Vinny, do you want to talk about it?
Uh, no, it's quickly sum up it to overpower the farmer taking care of all those problems around him, and he
Yeah.
never gets to have enough time to farm. Tragedy. The end.
So after that we got this title, which again is too big for a sign. Give me a second, let me center it, and then I'll try to read it. It's called Shinmai Renkin Jitsushi no Tenpo Ka. What's the translation of that again? Management of a novice alchemist, right?
Yep, you nailed it.
Woo! That means
Good
I'm ready
job.
for Japan. I can go to Japan.
That's right.
Who wants to talk about this?
Okay, I'll start. I think I've been said a few times. If I say it again, just forgive me. This series looks a lot like Atelier series, the animation. It's got a bunch of cutesy little girls doing cutesy little stuffs. Uh, so the main character just graduated from the school to become an alchemist, and she managed to pass the grade under the tutelage of very successful and very uh, high-ranked alchemist herself. And she branches up to decide to open her own store, and only place that she could open within her reasonable budget of not having much of anything was in the boondock, where past alchemist has passed away, so it's been in complete state of disrepair. So she goes there in this rural area, try to make it on her own, try to befriend the locals, find the friends, and taking care of all those issues that comes away. What sets this apart a little bit is that sometimes just when you expect this is gonna be another happy-go-lucky type of series, it throws a little bit of a realistic point of view at times, like somebody coming with injury. Okay, so it's not just a little cuts and bruises and bleeding here. She's got half the arm missing because it's got chomped down by the monster. Okay, and the part that yeah I can fix her, but it's gonna cost you, and I'm not gonna do it for free just because that's the what other people consider right thing to do, because there's consequences of giving away things for free, which is not something come across very often on series that looks very cutesy. But then it balances itself out by having the alchemist being also the combat specialist who can do it all. Uh, so that's a little bit unbalanced in itself, but overall, it's another leaning towards a slice of life that you can just sit there, watch it, and enjoy a little bit, and you know, spend time not having to think too much about it because it's not a thinker type of series.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this show. It's nice, and the story's going along pretty well. I don't know. I was kind of expecting something different, but um, it's been entertaining though. So it's not like it's bad, but it's just I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting from the show, but um, I'll probably keep on watching it and have fun still. But it's not anything that I I would have probably put on my own list. I think I've only watched it with you guys right now.
Yeah, I didn't think the show was like anything like too spectacular. That's why I haven't been like too like focused on it. I mean, the only time that I'm like always like taking a look at it is because it's just been a show that's in our anime night list. But like if we weren't watching our anime list, then I probably wouldn't have like gone out of my way to watch it.
Yeah, it's really for the people who enjoys watching slice of life, light-hearted series. It's not for somebody who's invested on watching the anime of the season type, because this is anything but.
Or watching the etchy isekai types.
Correct. It has a zero edgy element.
Yeah, it's one of those. It looks like it's going to be one of those girl makes a group of friends and they all help each other to survive in this new area, or help her to survive in this new area while becoming the best of friends. Which has been done quite a bit, so that's why I think I'm probably not too interested in it because I've seen this story play out quite a few times. But I don't know, maybe they'll surprise us and change something around because like I love tragedy, so maybe they'll add something tragic to happen that would pique my interest when
You
things are getting
horrible
too
person.
happy. Life can't be too happy. We gotta have some spice in there, you know.
See, now that just sounds like a spiteful person. It's like, if I can have a happiness, nobody can.
No, there's gonna be happiness. It's just after all the bad stuff happens.
We watch anime to escape from reality. Let us have our happiness all the time.
Next up is oh wow. I'm going to skip Spy Family because everyone's probably watching that already, right? It's just the second core, so it's the same old stuff. We'll probably go back to it at the end of the season. But for our start of
Yeah.
the season, I think we can just skip it for now, right?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
if you watch
so.
it, you'll keep on watching it. So
So next up
Yeah.
is an isekai, right? Dun dun dun. Tensei Shitara Ken Dash. Oh, sorry, Deshita?
Yes.
Tensei Shitara Ken Deshita. Yeah.
Tensei Shitara Ken Deshita. Yeah. Which is reincarnated as a sword.
That's about as unimaginative title as much as an informative title. Straight to the heart.
So I've seen this as a how do you say it, as a manga out there, but I never actually watched it. Or
I
read it, I should
watched
say.
this.
Really?
I watched this first because someone introduced it to me. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try.
I watched the first episode, then I went ahead and read the 8 volumes of the manga.
Oh, how's the manga compare?
It's surprisingly good. I mean, you have to set somewhat of low expectations on this video game centric isekai series to begin with, because it's not gonna have those heavy plot that makes you think or goes on a grand adventure, but it is surprisingly well done as far as the character development, because it doesn't try to branch out and try to turn into some Pokemon style collect all those characters to assemble the grand army of sorts. It's not one of those. It's solely focused on the Sword, who's later renamed as a teacher, and Fran, the cat girl, whose goal is to become strong enough to evolve into the higher beings that cat person has yet to be able to. And I find that by keeping the main character list short, they were able to spend more time developing them thoroughly instead of just going all over the places and become a mess of a video game terminology everywhere, which it has a plenty of that. I mean, I'll tell anybody about how irksome it gets after a while hearing about the Adventure Guild rankings, weapon skills, la 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 la. And unfortunately, this has plenty of that. But having said that, main characters are very likable. Fran is adorable. Her deadpan expression is funny. And the teacher quickly becomes sort of a doting father figure, which at this point, it is technically Isekai series, given that he died and croaked and turned into sword. But that's almost a backstory that nobody really is going to remember because it gets heavily buried into this video game logic. And he himself of knowledge as a Isekai person, only time he gets to utilize his skill as otherworlder is cooking, which is not too terribly different from other isekai series, but that's about the only time that you realize, oh yeah, this is technically isekai series. But if you consider it to be more about action or adventure type, then it's more on the dot. And as much as I thought I was gonna drop it, I found that myself keep on watching it, and it's enjoyable enough for me to keep going on.
Yeah, I have to admit that this show isn't doing a lot of the typical. Oh, from my memory, this we could do this, or from this, I remember, going back to this other life, and a lot of the jargon that's used there. It's more or less he's kind of started off with that, thinking, oh, this is my life now, and then now he's more focused on Fran and helping her, which kind of pulls it out of that isekai-ness, but What about you, Dragon?
Um, I mean, I this is just another. I mean, it kind of struck me as like one of those like like joke isekais because it's like reincarnate as a sword. It's like it just reminded me of like oh like reincarnated into another item, like reincarnated as like well a vending machine was something that was like out of the ordinary. I was like I don't know how I felt about it, and like the only reason why I like started watching it was because a friend of mine was like, hey, like you wanna watch like the first two episodes of reincarnate as a sword, and I was like okay sure why not, like it's this is one of those animes for me that was like, oh, if I were to like just be looking at anime by myself, I probably wouldn't have watched this.
All right. Next up, we got. Oh, this one. Which is. How do you. Let me pull up the title card. I gotta find it. Some of these things are getting harder to find at the bottom of the list. Where is it? There it is. Uchi no shisho wo shippo ga nai.
Yep. My master has no tail.
Oops. My master has no tail. This is how it's pronounced or said.
Yeah, that's the translated title, official title.
All right. I've only seen the first 2 episodes. I haven't watched any more than that. It's probably going to be a show I'm going to have to watch on my own time, since we are not watching as a group. But I like the start of it. Isn't this kind of like your field, Vinny? We're in the time.
All right. So this is a story of Tanuki, Japanese raccoon dog, who has a penchant for pulling pranks on people. Except that this is the era of human civilization has gone skyrocketed into modernization, aka Taisho era in Japan, where electricity has brightened up the night sky at nighttime, and tanukis have quickly become removed from the human civilization where they can no longer pull the pranks, so they are pretty much resigned to live as an animal in obscurity. And our main character, who wanted to follow the footsteps of her father, who spent many years living amongst the human, so she obtains the permission from the elders to go to the big city in Osaka, the Japanese storytelling. And she decided to beg the Grand Master of Rakugo to take her as apprentice to teach her how to become a Rakugo so that she can trick humans in a ways that her typical Tanuki tricking doesn't work anymore. So she goes through the various stages of learning the crafts, stage handing, learning about the story structures and all that. Uh, there's a couple other series that deals with Rakugo, and typically Rakugo is a very dry and tends to be boring subject for people who doesn't really know much about it. And I have a nagging suspicion that even amongst the natives, Rakugo is such an old style craft that not many people really care to think so much about. But whereas this series, it has Rakugo moments within each episode. But what they try to do is that they try to use the story to tell the story itself and apply that story into the actual episode content. So you got a dualism that's going on that even if you miss out the storytelling, that you ultimately understand that they chose this story for that reason because it applies to that episode and what was going on in grand scheme of things. Um, I think it's up to 5 volumes in America. I read it up to 4, and it's a it's a drama series. It doesn't have a high action, but I found that animation is done very solid. Um, there's really no obvious flow, and so far all the episodes been very pleasing to look at. And what's the card that they inserted in between to denote the commercial break?
The eye catch.
Yeah, eye catch. If you watch the eye catch, first half of the eye catch is drawn in animation style. Second half of the eye catch is drawn in original manga style. So there's a little bit difference, but if there's a things that I like about it is that I like any series about Taisho era. That's just my jam, and so that pretty much is sold. And the rest of the story, I just went along with it, and I enjoyed it. It's not really cup of tea for people. I suspect that it's not going to be very high up on recommendation list for most people since it doesn't have the flash actions. So it's gotta be very low key drama that people who watch it and decide they like it enough, they're gonna keep on watching it because there is actual storyline that progresses, and I don't know how far they are going to go along in animations. But if you read the manga, you realize that they drop a big hint of what's to come at the very early part of this episode. Actually, it's mentioned in episode 4 that's going to be the big plot line for the later on that they need to address it. Um, but beyond that, it's going to be one of those. You watch the first episode, and if you like it, you're probably gonna be able to watch it longer. And if you decide you didn't like it at all or didn't care for it, then you just have to move along. It's one of those. There's not gonna be much of in between.
So I actually researched Rakugo for a while because uh, I'm always making fun of Dragon as he's supposed to be the storyteller of our group for this Discord group because and I'm always trying to get him to tell stories with music in the background and tell us tales and stuff. So at one point I was trying to figure out what was the storytelling in Japan, and I found the Rakugo, and I actually learned some interesting things. Like there's actually an official guy in Canada, this Canadian that got an official Rakugo, became an official Rakugo master, and
I think I think he's dropping by Anime NYC this season to do the Rakugo storytelling.
so oh man, that'd be really interesting to check out.
Yeah, I think
But
I'm gonna go check it out.
but I saw information about him and how he did his storytelling and how he learned the arts in Japan and stuff. So the whole thing about it is very fun and very interesting. And the thing about the anime that I thought was interesting as well, which I thought was kind of pointless, but maybe it's because they think the cultures or maybe younger generations don't know too much about what they're trying to portray. But at the end of every single episode, it seemed like she would tell you the uh, the purpose of the story, why the Rakugo story, what meaning it had at the end, right?
Right. Yeah, he gives a little breakdown uh, on the story so that viewers can understand or have a better understanding of it. Because sometimes the episode does not fully feature the whole Rakugo story. It kind of goes like first half or second half and cuts in between to progress into the series. So without seeing the whole storyline, sometimes viewers might get lost as to okay, what the heck was the story about? So that's a very helpful tidbits to better understand the story.
Yeah. So make sure to check those out. It's always at the end of the episode, right?
Hmm.
So those are very nice. Like I understand most of the things that have been told at least so far, but it's a nice thing for I think the younger generation and to get a better understanding of why, or maybe you don't understand the comedy of the story that they're trying to tell. Because I know some jokes just don't go well with other people, right? Especially like deadpan
Right.
jokes like that.
Yeah, jokes are hard to translate because not only you cannot just literally translate it, but you have to understand the meaning and try to find the right substitute that is applicable, which is very challenging.
So
And Mhm.
I was just gonna say I really would to recommend this to Dragon to watch because I see he's not watching it. You need to learn the Rakugo art, Dragon.
Yeah, I haven't watched this yet, but it is on my like plan to watch. I just need to actually like start watching it.
Mm. I think this is one of those series where the most people speak in a dialect that's not Tokyo dialect. I believe it's the Kansai band they're using. And the master storyteller, she does a really good job portraying not only herself, but she has to basically speak in a two different tones, both the man and woman, while she's doing the storytelling. And she also has to apply the proper dialect in order to make it believable, um, which I found it to be very impressive.
Yep. So, it's a nice show. I think it is kind of hard to recommend, but if you're looking for something unique and to learn more, probably about some Japanese history, I think I mean, not
More of a culture.
significant. Yeah, more. Yeah, that's what I meant. Culture. More about the culture rather than the history. I think it's a nice little show to check out. Now, I don't know how well it's going to do in teaching you everything about it, but it'll be a nice little introduction, I think, so that you can learn about it.
The storytelling venue they featured in there is actually based on the real place in Tokyo. The building.
Ooh. Let's go to the next title. Which actually surprised me. At first, I didn't think this was going to be anything good. And then I'm enjoying it. Which is another... Oh my god, how long is this title?
Go ahead.
Give me
Do
a
your
second.
best.
Let me open up the page so I can get the full name. Okay. Oh, this is the one we were talking about with the long title but small translation.
Mm-hmm.
It's called
Yep.
Yusha Party wo Tsuiho Sareta Beast Tamer Saikyoshu no Nekomimi Shoujo to Deau.
Well done.
Or as Crunchyroll calls it, Beast Tamer.
I think Beast Tamer sums up nicely.
Yeah, I remember I remember watching a video and they were talking about this anime and just he was trying to pronounce the entire thing and he was like, okay, what's the translated name? Oh, it's just called Beast Tamer.
So I think this is it says it's based off of a light novel, which also has a manga, and the greatest thing about this, right, is that it's not an isekai, right?
No.
It's a nice fantasy story, and this also follow along the that new trope that Vinny mentioned in that Villainish title, that where the supposedly good guy, or the one who's supposed to be seen as the good person, is in fact not really all that good of a person, right?
Yeah.
We actually, you should have heard our group as we were watching the newest episode. Oh my god, everyone wanted the hero to be taken out.
I think we collectively cheered when he got punched on the face.
Yes. Yeah. So the supposed hero, which is not your what you are, but more of like a status or a class, I would say, if anything, it seems like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is just really bad, and the Beast Tamer Rain is this member within this hero party that is dropped due to what the group feels that he's not helpful at all. That he's um, has no contribution to the group. So they decide to drop him, and they don't just drop him in a nice way. They just flat out insult him and tell him to leave. That he's no good. That he's trash, and that
Yeah, they just insult him, and like they're just like insulting him, like berating him, like basically like, "Oh, you're useless. Like we don't need you. Like get out of our party."
so he's treated pretty rough, and he takes everything, I think, really well. If it were me, I think I wouldn't have taken it that well. But he then journeys on his own as this beast tamer, and eventually meets up with some other uh, divine creatures, I guess you can call them, is what I'm going to call them at least. The heavenly spirits, or whatever they call them, right? The supreme spirits. And
like ultimate species.
yeah, and he eventually comes to an understanding with them and creates a contract rather than tame them, I would say, right? To begin this new party with these new members, and it's very nice. It's very wholesome relationship within the whole group. It's not like this big, like, you can kind of, I don't know if it's just me, but I don't really sense this harem vibe. Do you guys? I mean, it's a group of girls, one guy, but it, to me, it doesn't seem like it's this romantic relationship or anything. It's just this group of people who have this understanding and have come to respect each other to become this group of members as a party.
You
I
know,
feel like the girls like him, but then like he's kind of just like, oh yeah, we're just in this to be a party. But then I feel like all the girls are like, oh, he's like actually nice and he's like strong. It's like I like him. So I don't know. That's how I feel. So it's not like harem in the sense that he's trying to get them all. It's more like he's like attracting them, but like he doesn't really care about being like romantic with them. But what were you gonna say, Vin?
oh, just because he's not jumping the bone or they're not jumping the bone does not make it not harem. It has the whole of making of harem. Yeah, it's more like a light-hearted, cutesy type of a gathering, but the fact that he has 2 girls with a couple others in the waiting based on the ending, yeah, this is a harem.
Okay. I was trying to give it a wholesome look. You guys just ruined it. But as we go through this story, we are learning more and more about OreAni and his uniqueness, and it seems that he's not your average beast tamer, right? And as we go, we've already been revealed quite a bit, and I'm hoping to maybe see some more stuff in the future. But he's also not just a beast tamer; he's also an insect tamer, and such.
Yes.
So he's able to do quite a few things, and it seems that it's going to be this nice. Hopefully, it's a nice adventure story with everyone going around and helping others, because that's what it seems to have been doing until this recent conflict, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how it goes on from there. But I hope it stays within that same realm of him being this just guy that just wants to help others and collects his group of friends to assist him in a way that benefits everyone. You all have anything else to add, or?
Oh, about this series?
Yeah.
Not really. No, I think I'm good.
Yeah. It's got a lot of really nice voice actors, I'll say that. I kept on going like, is that her? Is that her? Is that her? As they spoke, I'm like, oh, that's definitely her, type of voice. So, it's got a nice voice cast, I'll say that much. Next up, we're going to go back up the list now and hit these other ones that maybe we missed. You want to talk about Yorosei Yatsura, Vinny?
Urusei Yatsura? Yeah, sure.
Uh, uh,
I'll say a little bit.
Out of
Uh,
curiosity, though, did you
yeah,
ever watch the original?
I did a little bit,
Not all.
and I think I watched it a lot more when I was younger, but I don't remember much of it. But I did watch some of the original episodes, and I did watch the movie number two, which is noteworthy for many reasons. Um, so the original series, so this is based on manga or done by the legendary Rumiko Takahashi from way back in 1978. It's probably older than all of us. And they did the original TV series back in 81 to 86. And first half of the original TV series was directed by Mamoru Oshii, who went on to direct many other movies, including Part Labor, Ghost in the Shell, and so on and so forth. I believe this was a part of the um, publisher's 100th anniversary project, so they greenlighted and they decided to remake it from the ground up, um, which kind of puts an interesting spin. They did not touch up on the story itself. It's all the characters are there, all the settings are more or less the same, and even the aesthetic is the same. They could have changed the time setting a little bit to modernize it, but if you watch the first episode from the opening sequence, you'll realize that opening has all the modern technologies, smartphones and idol concerts with those light sticks and whatnot. But when actual episode starts, it reverts right back to the original aesthetic of the tube TV with the dial channels, rotary dial telephone on the hallway, because back then people only had one phone and there's no such thing as smartphone. Um, my biggest problem really is nitpicking is that they changed the eye color of Lum, which Lum Invader, which is the one half of the main character. In both manga and the original TV series had her blue eye, and this time they changed to have her yellow, almost a cat-like eyes. I mean, granted, it looks better, but I think they could have just kept the original color. And I cannot be the only one kind of throwing fits about that. Story-wise, it's basically Ataru is the main character who is a perpetual womanizer. He just goes after every girl that he finds it cute enough. And he's very unfaithful, selfish, kind of like a jerk. Then one day, Earth is invaded by alien species, and they randomly pick out somebody to have a little game of survival where if the Earthlings prevail, they'll leave it alone and they'll go away looking for another planet to invade. And if they lose, then say goodbye to Earth. It's going to be the aliens' planet from here on. And Ataru gets picked out to be the ones to attend this game, and by skin of teeth, he miraculously win the match. And he was so excited that he was professing his love to the love interest and to get married, but Lom literally took it as that he was proposing to get married to her, so which she accepts, and then it becomes the whole running circle of her trying to keep him faithful, him trying to get away from her, and yada yada yada.
It kind of reminds me of True Love at the very beginning, where he's trying to.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if True Love Lu took inspiration from this. Lot of like a love triangle harem series took interest from this series, and I don't doubt that many of the creator grew up reading this type of series, so they took inspiration from here, there, and make it into their own. So this is like a grand archetype series at this point. Um, do I think I'm gonna be able to watch entire season? I don't know. I think that's slotted for 46 episodes so far, so that's gonna be 2 full seasons this year and probably next year. I'm gonna watch it as long as possible just to refresh my memory. And I did watch first episode in comparison next to each other. Um, it kind of gives a feeling of the remake of Fruits Basket, where the original series, the original Basket was done in what 99 or 2000, and the remake was done in what 2018. It's kind of that kind of feel to it. That it's an old story through and through, but it's done in modern technology, so everything looks nicer. But it does not fix any of the issues of the storyline because they want to keep it as authentic as possible.
So how would it compare to like maybe the Sailor Moon remake?
Um, Hard to say because I don't watch Sailor Moon.
Oh, okay. Because that's the only thing I could really think of. Because I didn't watch
Yeah.
the new Fruit Basket, so I don't know how to compare those.
Yeah, I mean, remake of the Fruits Basket is done also in very faithful manner. Original Fruits Basket animation took a little bit of a liberty, so it's a little loose. But whereas the remake was basically trying to capture the manga as faithfully as possible. At least so far, early part of this Urusei Yatsura, both of them are more or less the same, just that one looks more modern because it's done nowadays. And I just posted the little gift on the chat. That kind of gives you an idea as to how character looks from the original versus the new. So new one's about 50% shinier.
Very shiny.
Hmm.
Makes more sense though, because like back in those days, right, they were drawing everything on cells and everything,
Yeah.
so they had to use paints and everything.
Oh yeah. Um, Even if you don't end up watching the series, and if you have a little bit of a background knowledge to it, I'll still say to watch the movie number 2 because it's almost like historical lessons on the thinking process of the director Mamoru Oshii as to what was he thinking and how he got those inspirations to later create his signature style surreal movies. So it's noteworthy in that regard.
Interesting. So, I think that's it for the titles we got, right? Unless you guys have anything else you want to try to add. I mean, they got Usagi, or sorry, Uzaki, not Usagi, Uzaki, or Uzuki in the English translation. Well, Asopitai. That's a second season, which is just continuing off from where the first one left off. We have another show that Albert's watching is Yama no Suzume Next Summit, which is that the second or third? I thought there was like already 2 seasons.
I think it's the second.
Maybe I was
I
thinking of something
think
else.
It was the second as well.
Okay, I honestly thought there was already a second season, so that surprises me.
Oh, wait, actually, maybe this is the third, because there is already a second season. Yeah, Encouragement of Climb second season. So,
Yeah, so I thought there was
oh
a
wait, but
second
there's
one.
Actually, this is the 4th season.
Oh wow.
fourth season. Yeah, because I just saw that there's a third season already.
Right.
Oh wow. Okay, so we're at the fourth one. Woo,
Hmm.
pretty far out there. I knew there was more than 2, at least. We also have let me go through some of these here. The Farmers anime isekai. No, that's not isekai. That's just a fantasy that's overpowered person. We have this was the Bibliophile Princess. Is that any good or is it blah?
It's a very shoujo style. So you have to have enough tolerance to watch shoujo series.
Okay.
Every guy's a hot guys, and every girl has this ringlets and all this, curls.
One thing I was interested in, I kind of wanted to know more about and check out is this title. Give me a second. Let me pull up the card, which is called Fu Ijo Koibito Miman. More than a married couple, but not lovers.
Ah,
How was that,
Fu
Vinny? Because
I-
I saw you saw some of that.
uh, it's typical rom-com. I think I quipped about it. It's like if you watch series like a girlfriend and stuff like that, it follows more or less the same. So if you like those kind of series, that you'll probably watch it and enjoy it. If you don't, then you don't really need to bother.
So is it more like a girlfriend, or maybe a couple of cuckoos, or?
It's more like a girlfriend.
Okay.
From what I heard from someone that has watched it, they said that, if you haven't watched it, don't watch it, just read it. Reading it was, like, in their opinion, they said reading it was better than the anime. Like, reading the
I
manga was better.
I don't doubt that. Just that the title kind of makes me upset. It's like, damn you, normal people! It's like, how dare you try to have this kind of relationship?
So that would be it. I think that's all the titles. There's still a lot out there. There's man, every single
There's a
season's getting
lot.
longer and
There's,
longer. So
yeah.
there's one that we were really interested in, but we couldn't watch because it was just so terrible. Which I don't know if anyone has seen. It's just called Danchi, and that's on. I believe it was on HBO Max, right? And it's an English dub, only English dub.
Yeah, was it?
Oh
Who
yeah,
was
you
it? I
guys
can
were
find
trying to find that in Japanese, right? But then we only found it with English.
Yeah, and it was I wanted to watch it because it was going to be a horror film, so I thought that
I
was
didn't want to
a
watch
horror
it because it
anime.
was horror.
Of course, we got Boku no Hero Academy. Bleach is another one that's out there. I think that's kind of hard for me to find it. Is it not like a Hulu, right? Streaming or something like that?
So it was originally gonna be on Disney Jail, but then I think
Oh, Disney.
it opened up into um other sites. I think I don't recall what other ones, but I think because this is supposed to be the final season of Bleach, right?
I have no idea. But we
it.
also
Could
have
be.
the Golden Kamuy season 4. Maybe we can watch that and check out the cool CG bears. Iruma-kun is whatever that anime is called. There's quite a bit of other who love the second season. So there's a lot of other things out there that are continuing on that people should try to check out. But other than that, that's all we got for tonight. I'd like to thank everyone for joining me. Albert, have fun in Japan on Halloween.
Albert's gone.
No, I'm just mentioning it out. He's with us in heart, man. He's with us here.
He's with us in heart. Yes.
He's probably watching. He's like walking around. These guys. And Vinny,
Yep.
thank you for joining us, having fun with us.
Thanks for having me.
Let me know when that Anime New York thingy comes up. That'd be kind of fun to hear about that Rakugo if you can head there.
Yeah, that's on November 18th through 20th. I'm going all 3 days, and I'm going to try to secure the spot to attend the FGO panel since the voice actor of Saber is going to be there for the first
Ooh.
time.
What?
I'm totally psyched. I'm like, when I saw that announcement, I was like, I always go FGO panel. I'm gonna double down on making sure.
Nice.
Vinny,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to like stay in line like 2 days before the panel.
2 days. Dude, if they let people get autograph from her, which I doubt it, I'm gonna bring the figurine to have
I
her
mean,
sign it.
do the VAs not usually have their own like like area where they can like have people like pay for like autographs or
Not all of
pictures?
them.
Because
Not all of them. I mean, they do. They have a listings of autograph
Mhm.
sessions, and they're doing the lottery for all the foreign guests. So they have some staff from the Studio Trigger and Studio Orange is showing up there. So they're doing
Okay.
the autograph session separately. Uh, Unfortunately, Saber doesn't seem to be going to do any of the autograph session, which is a bummer.
Mm.
So I can see that at the end of the panel, people's gonna try to bomb rush in front of her and try to
Mhm.
get her to sign something, and I can see the staff trying to either dissipate all the crowds, or the Albert is going to basically make an announcement preemptively say, no, she's not doing any signing. Everybody, once after the panel's done, get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see him totally making that announcement.
So that's that. So once again, everyone out there, we've hit our 2 hour mark, so we're going to say bye bye to everyone, and hopefully you join us. I think I don't know if we'll be probably the last week of December or the first week of January, one of those
Mhm.
weekends that we'll be back to continue this discussion about the end of the anime. Since we probably won't meet anyone else till then, let's wish Sean, Albert, Jessica, Neo a happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year's. And we'll see you all after that.
Yes. Bye bye.